Hello, my students. Our lesson today is fraction. Let's remember together what's fraction. Here, my students, I have one whole tree, and here I have one whole pizza. Okay, if I want to make it a fraction, my students, look at me here. Here I have half tree and half pizza. This is fractions, my students. Okay, teacher. Now, any fraction has numerator, the number which up, and denominator, the number which down. Okay, numerator, my students, represent the shaded part or the colored part. So the number which up, we called it numerator. And numerator, teacher, the colored part. Here, how many colored part? How many colored parts here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So numerator is 5. And down, teacher, denominator, all parts, my students. Let's count all parts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this fraction is 5 over 8. I read the fraction from up to down. Okay, my students? Again, my students, the colored parts up, all parts down. Okay, and in fraction has numerator, the number which up, never under, and denominator, the number which down. Okay, let's start, my students. How to comparing and ordering fractions. First, if I have to compare two fractions of the same denominator. Same what, teacher? Same denominator, the numbers which down. Okay, first, if I have here 3 over 7 and 5 over 7. Here I have the same denominator. So my students, what can I do, teacher? I will hide denominator. Hide denominator. Then I'll compare 3 over or 5. Which is greater, my students? 3 or 5? Yes, 5, my students. Okay, it's very easy. Let's see another exercise. Here 7 over 11 and 5 over 11. Okay, teacher, here I have the same denominator. What can I do? Same denominator, hide it, teacher. Then 7 or 5, which is greater? Yes, very good, 7. Second, if I have comparing two fractions of the same numerator. Here 1 over 4 and here 1 over 3. Okay, my students, here I have 1 over 3 third, 1 over 4 quarter. Okay, which is greater, my students? Here I have the same numerator. We called it crazy fractions, teacher. If I have the same numerator, what can I do, teacher? It's the crazy fraction. So the small denominator will be the greater fraction. Small denominator will be the greater fraction. Then, my students, 1 over 3 is greater than 1 over 4. Okay, next exercise, my students, put the suitable sign greater or smaller or equal. Here I have 1 over 5 and here I have 4 over 5. Which is greater, teacher? Look at the fractions. Here I have the same denominator. Then I'll hide it, teacher. Which is greater, 4 or 1? 4, teacher. Okay, next one. I have 5 over 3 and 5 over 7. Here I have what? The same numerator. The same what? The same numerator. It's crazy fractions, teacher. So the smallest denominator will be the greater fraction. Which is small here, 3 or 7? 3, teacher. So 5 over 3 is greater than 5 over 7. Okay. Next, I have 2 and 1 over 8 and here 17 over 8, teacher. Here I have mixed number. I have to convert the mixed number into fraction, improper fraction. Okay, teacher, how can I make it? I will take 2 times 8 equals 16. Then 16 plus 1 equals 17. So again, my students, I will make 2 times 8 equals 16. Then plus 16 plus 1 equal 17 over 8. And here I have 17 over 8. They are equal to teacher. Next, my students, find the possible values of x which satisfy each of the following relations where x is a whole number. Let's see. Here I have 5 over 6 and 5 over x. Look at me here, my students. I look for the value of x. Here, my students, I have the same numerator. Okay, my students, and I have this x is a whole number. So x number between 6 and 9. This is x, my students, is a number, is a whole number. So x will be number is greater than 6 and smaller than 9. Which numbers? Greater than 6 and smaller than 9? Yes, 7 or 8. Okay? Another exercise. Here I have to find the value of x. Here, my students, x over 5 is greater than 1 over 5 and smaller than 1. Here, my students, number 1. I can make number 1 2 over 2 or 3 over 3 or 4 over 4 or 5 over 5 and so on. So, my students, now I want to make this one 5 over 5. Why, teacher? To make it the same denominator. So I will put this one 5 over 5. Okay, now teacher, I have x over 5 is greater than 1 over 5 and smaller than 5 over 5. I look for the value of number x here. So this x will be greater than 1 and smaller than 5. Then the value of x will be 2 or 3 or 4. X will be 2 or 3 or 4. Okay. The third case, my students, if I have to comparing two fractions of the different numerator and the denominator. I have different numerators and different denominators, like these fractions. Here I have 2 over 3 and 5 over 9. 2 over 3 and 5 over 9. I have different numerators and different denominators. What can I do, teacher? I'll make cross multiplication. Cross what? Cross multiplication. I will take 9 times 2 equals 18 and 3 times 5 equals 15. Now, teacher, 18 or 15, which is greater? 18, teacher. Okay? It's very easy. Let's see one more exercise. Here 3 over 4 and here 5 over 6. Different numerator and different denominator. What can I do? Cross multiplication, teacher. Then 6 times 3 equals 18 and 4 times 5 equals 20. Which is greater, 18 or 20? 20, teacher. Okay. Let's see the last case here. If I have comparing fractions and decimal, if I have decimal and fraction, how can I compare it, teacher? Here, my students, I have 3 and quarter, and here I have 3.2. How can I make comparing between this, teacher? I don't have the same here, teacher. Okay, let's make, teacher, this decimal number. I will convert the decimal number into fractions. Okay, this is decimal number. So, my students, 2/10. So, I'll make it 2 over 10. So, I have 3 and 2 over 10. And here I have 3 and quarter. Okay, now my students, here I have 3 whole number and here I have 3 whole number. Then I'll compare the fraction 2 over 10 and here 1 over 4. How can I make it, teacher? It's a different denominator and numerators. So I'll make what? Cross multiplication. Here 10 times 1 equals 10 and 4 times 2 equals 8. Which is greater? 1 over 4, teacher, is greater. Okay? Then my students, 3 and quarter is greater than 3 and 2 over 10. Okay. Another exercise, 0.7 and 7 over 3. How can I compare it, teacher? I have to convert this decimal number into fractions. So here I have 7 tenths, 7 from 10, okay, my students, and 7 over 3. Here I have what? Very good. Here I have the same numerator. So it's a crazy fraction, teacher. The smallest denominator will be greatest fraction. Okay? Another exercise. Okay, here I have 0.12 or 12 hundredths, and here I have 6 over 50. Now, my students, you have to make this denominator 10 or 100 or 1000. I want to make the denominator 10 or 100 or 1000. So, teacher, 50 here times 2 equals 100. You have to keep this table in your mind, my students. So, teacher, 2 times 50 equals 100. So, here 12 over 100, and here 6 times 2. I make 50 times 2 down, I make it up and down, my students. When I make times 2 down, I have to make it up, okay? Then here I have 12 over 100, and here I have 12 over 100. So they are equal to, teacher. Thank you, my students. Have a nice